I've tried a bunch more hyped up Korean skincare products. Let's get into it. I'm Michelle, I'm a chemist and skincare nerd. All these products are available from Stelvana, today's video sponsor. They have lots of Asian products at great prices. Make sure the products are in stock if you want your parcel to be shipped quickly. The first 400 people who use my code get this as a gift with purchase, the PURITO Mighty Bamboo Panthenol Cream. For context with this and all my skincare reviews, I have normal to oily skin. It's a bit less oily these days, it is very easily dehydrated, and I've also started getting more redness and sensitivity and rosacea on top of being pretty acne prone. This cream has a really interesting texture. It is a lightweight gel with brightening and soothing ingredients. The key ones are 10% panthenol, niacinamide, squalane, and bamboo extract. This is lightly hydrating and it forms a sort of film on skin that stays on really well and gives a glass skin sort of slightly shiny look. I'm actually wearing it right now under my makeup. It has no noticeable scent. I used this as a sleeping mask over my other products to lock them in and it worked really well. I could still feel this there in the morning. And I have seen a few people say that this clogged their pores. I personally didn't have an issue with this, but if you are prone to clogged pores, keep an eye out for that. The next product is the Max Oil Control Light Sunscreen. This is SPF 50+ and PA with 4 pluses. I have been really impressed by the products from Max that I've tried so far. I talked about their cleansing oil last time, really loved that. I've been trying their cleansing balm and their sunscreen for this video. This is a Korean sunscreen, it's not approved in other countries, and it is a hybrid sunscreen, which means it has both chemical and mineral filters. The main mineral one in this is zinc oxide. It also has a bunch of the newer chemical filters. Now, I am not a huge mineral sunscreen fan, but I did want to give this a go because I saw a lot of people who do like mineral sunscreen who have oily skin. They really raved about this one. Very generally speaking, hybrid sunscreens tend to have properties in between chemical and mineral sunscreens. With Korean mineral sunscreens, they are usually a fair bit lighter in texture than the more Western ones. But otherwise, they still have a lot of similarities in their properties, so fans of mineral sunscreens tend to like that they're mattifying, which is good for oily skin if you want to kill shine. But for a lot of people, they can be a bit too drying. And almost all of the time, there is a noticeable white cast if you apply the right amount, unless your skin is really light or you put foundation on top. Mineral sunscreens do tend to be good options for people who react to specific chemical sunscreens, although usually they do have butyl octyl salicylate. This is an SPF booster that is usually a problem for people who have octsalate sensitivities. But because for this hybrid sunscreen, they've replaced some of the zinc oxide with chemical filters, and they are those newer chemical filters, they can still get this high SPF and PA rating, but with less of those typical mineral sunscreen properties, which is exactly what I found with this sunscreen. This has a pretty thick texture when it's coming out of the tube and I'm applying it, but it feels very lightweight on my skin, and there isn't any noticeable fragrance. There were still some white patches, but only on places where I applied it more thickly, and it blended up pretty easily with my fingers, and all of it pretty much died down by 30 minutes. This sunscreen is made by Kolma. They make a lot of Korean sunscreens from different brands, but I haven't been able to find any exact dupes of this. There were some close-ish ones with the same filters, but it looks like they have different solvents and polymers, which can lead to a very different formula, especially when you're putting it on your skin. One of the things I saw really hyped up about this was the oil control part. It is formulated for combination and oily skin, and it has an active called anti-sebum P. This is a patented mix of 4 plant extracts that are meant to help control oil, and I've seen it around in other Korean products too. There's also 4-terpineol. This is one of the main actives in tea tree oil. It has antioxidant and antimicrobial properties, and you see this a lot in acne products. On top of that, there's silica, which absorbs oil. It's also mattifying and helps with that oil control. And then there's niacinamide and adenosine, which is that anti-wrinkle and brightening combo you see in tons of Korean sunscreens. Overall, I really enjoyed this sunscreen. I can see why people like it. And even though I am a mineral sunscreen hater, I get it. Next is the Pyeongkang Deep Clear Cleansing Balm. Cleansing balms are one of my favorite categories of products. I just find it so relaxing to smear it all over my face and melt my makeup off. This is a pretty standard Asian cleansing balm. It comes with a little spatula, which is in my spatula collection over there. This has a soft melting sorbet sort of texture, and it has a moderate fragrance by Korean standards, which is pretty light by Western standards. It smells sort of like a fresh, fruity, kind of pear smell with a bit of floral as well. It rinses cleanly, and on me, I found that it had no eye sting. With makeup removal, I found that it was good for most things, including cream eyeshadow and one of my gel eyeliners, but it did struggle a bit with my other gel eyeliner. So I think this would work well for everything except the most stubborn makeup. The other cleansing balm I tried was the Max Dual Barrier Purifying Cleansing Balm. I really liked their cleansing oil, which I reviewed last time, so I decided to try this cleansing balm. And it has a really cool sort of packaging. It has a sort of sharpener on top. There's like 2 little slits and you rotate it and the cleansing balm comes up, which I've seen in a couple of other cleansing balms now. At first, I thought this sort of packaging was a bit of a gimmick, but it turns out it solves a problem that I had with some cleansing balms. Some of them, when you dig them out, they stay as a solid clump and they don't melt easily. And that means you have to really work it in your hands to make it spread. Sometimes I just end up rubbing a lump on my face for ages, especially when it's cold and it's not as soft. But because this is scraping off a really thin layer, then it just becomes so soft. I have tried a couple of other cleansing balms with this packaging and it was still a little bit difficult to work, but this is probably the easiest to spread, easiest to handle cleansing balm I've ever tried. It's really soft, it's almost as easy as an oil to spread. It's basically sort of like a moisturizer, but unlike with cleansing oils, it doesn't have that problem where it's dripping off your hand and it's hard to get it vertically onto your face. For makeup removal, I found that this works really well for everything. It works really well on eyeshadow as well as both of my gel eyeliners. In my demo video, I am going a little bit longer than I needed to because it was just kind of really satisfying rubbing it around. It does leave a very slight layer of moisturizing oil on my face, but it's not really a problem for me. I have no clogged pores from it and I usually leave it. Sometimes I will follow up with a second cleanser. But I guess the big downside, for me at least, which may be an upside for you, is that this basically has no fragrance. I can't smell anything in it. I like having a fragrance in my cleansing balms because I like that whole sensory experience, but if you're looking for a fragrance-free one, this is pretty much perfect in my books for everything else. Next we have a sunscreen, the Round Lab Camellia Deep Collagen Firming Sun Serum. This is SPF 50+ and PA with 4 pluses. Round Lab is another brand whose products I have really enjoyed so far. I've tried 2 of their other sunscreens and I really like the chemical one. This is one of their newer sunscreens and it's a bit fancier than their other offerings. This is a chemical sunscreen that has newer filters and is specifically formulated for anti-aging. The texture of this is very runny and it's in a tube that has a skinny little nozzle that helps you control it. To me, this has pretty much zero fragrance, it has no white cast as well, and it dries with a sort of glowy skin smoothing finish. This finish was the thing that I found most unique and impressive about this sunscreen. It says it uses ultrafine priming particles to fill in fine lines and blur to create a smooth looking skin, and that's definitely what I noticed. It just made my skin look really nice and smooth and plump. I think this is fantastic, especially if you're not planning to use foundation on top, if you're planning to go makeup free. It is really hydrating, and I think this is probably from all the different types of hydrolyzed collagen they have in this. They have a whole bunch of different ones, and it sounds almost like it's a superhero team of collagens. Another super interesting thing about this sunscreen for me is that it contains a retinoid. It is hydroxypinocolone retinoate or granactive retinoid. And it's really interesting to see it in a sunscreen. It's obviously there for this anti-aging formula. It also has micro-cooling capsules, which are meant to be cooling on application. I personally didn't really notice this, but I also didn't try applying it when it was really hot, so maybe it makes more of an impact there. It also has a UV aging barrier, which is Round Lab's own ingredient mix containing arginine and quercetin. These are antioxidants that can soak up free radical damage, which UV does cause. This also has a bunch of clinical testing for the anti-aging claims. So for example, it's got reduced pore size after 4 weeks, which I think is pretty cool. With sunscreens, most of the time I'm just looking at texture, wearability, and UV protection. I usually just ignore the other added skincare benefits. But for this one, I think they're actually pretty cool. Another product from Round Lab, the 1025 Docto Cleanser. I've seen so many people raving about this cleanser and it's lived up to the hype. It is a really nice cleanser. It comes out quite firm and it forms a really nice dense lather, and it didn't strip my skin much at all. As I was using this, I realized this really reminded me of the Skin 104 cleansing foam. It also has a fantastic lather and it doesn't strip much at all. And when I looked at the ingredients, they were very similar. So I thought maybe they were white label, but they are from different manufacturers. So I think what's happening is that these Korean cleansers are all just trying to dupe each other, and it makes a lot of sense. In Korea, cleansers with really dense luxurious foam are really popular. And to make this sort of formula for a long time, the most popular way was to use true soap ingredients. These only foam at a high pH, which is quite far from skin's pH, which is lower and more acidic. So these were really stripping for a lot of people, including me. And for me, these sorts of products can lead to breakouts and worse oil. But making foam and stripping your skin are two separate properties. So making foam is about how the product interacts with itself and water and air. And stripping is about how it's interacting with the oil on your skin. So at some point, some legend worked out how to make a formula with these other surfactants. It gives a really similarly satisfying foam, but it has a lower pH and it's more hydrating and it has no tight feeling. So it just keeps my skin really happy. These cleansers have really taken off. This one has won tons of awards since like 2018. So of course, other brands are making their own versions, and apparently this is just one of my favorite types of cleansers. I think this might be a little bit more hydrating than the Skin 104 and Make Prem ones. It has some soothing ingredients as well, like allantoin, panthenol, and ceramide. It is fragrance-free, and it has a sort of fragrance-free smell, which I asked Omar about since he's used the Skin 104 one so much. He says he doesn't like the smell of this as much as the other one because they both smell like plastic, but they smell like different types of plastic. I don't know if anyone knows a fragrance version of this sort of cleanser because I think that is made for people like him who prefer having a fragrance. Next we have the Centelline 24 Matica Cream Time Reverse. Centelline 24 is a well-known brand in Korea. It's made by a pharmaceutical company. As you can probably tell from the name, they are really into Centella, and Matica Cream is like their star product. They keep on updating the formula for this. This is the Time Reverse one, and I've seen places say that this is Season 7. The key ingredient here is active teca, and teca stands for titrated extract of Centella asiatica. And this is in a liposome delivery system. Centella asiatica is a plant. It's really popular, especially in Asian skincare, for its soothing and skin repair supporting properties. Titrated extract means that it has been purified and standardized. So they've taken the key active ingredients out from the Centella, these three, and then they have put them back in at measured amounts. It says there's 30 parts per million, which translates to 3%. So one of the big issues with natural extracts is that it is hard to control how much of the actives you have. So think about having different types of orange juice. Different orange juices have different flavors depending on how it's extracted, where the oranges were grown, how ripe they were when they were harvested. And so you have different levels of, I guess, like acids to make them sour and sugar. So by taking out the active ingredients and putting back in a set amount, this makes sure that the product has a more consistent effect regardless of where you're getting this Centella. The special liposomes help get this deeper into skin, and it gets it faster into skin. They have a whole bunch of clinical testing for claims like that. Their clinical testing levels are intense even by Korean standards. They have other interesting active ingredients too, like ectoin. This is a humectant, it holds onto water, and it seems to have some soothing effects as well. It's getting more popular. There's also niacinamide and adenosine, which is that brightening and anti-wrinkle duo. They also have some really interesting Centella ingredients that I have never seen before, like ascorbyl azeotate. This is essentially vitamin C stuck to one of those active ingredients from Centella. This is the only product I've seen it in so far. They call it Centella Vitamin, and there is a patent on this which involves colma. Anyway, this has like 12 special Centella ingredients, so yeah, just tons of Centella. This has a rich gel moisturizer sort of texture. It feels quite thick and it stays on my skin a bit like a balm, but it doesn't feel greasy like a lot of Western balms. I've been using this at night over my other products. It is summer here, but I've had the aircon on, so it's been pretty dry in here, and my skin has just been like getting the moisture sucked out of it. But it's been doing pretty well with this cream. It has a really nice sort of light herbal scent, and like I said, there is a ton of clinical testing, so as well as absorption, it's also got like anti-wrinkle and brightening claims too. I think this is like that giant set of 100 studies on this cream. I assume it's also on the older versions. I mean, this cream has been around for quite a while, it seems. It's just really nice and soothing to use this after more irritating products or alongside them. It's sort of like a Korean version of the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm. So I've been using this on top of other more irritating products, sometimes on its own when my skin needs a break, or just mixing it with like tretinoin or with acid exfoliants to make them a little bit gentler. Overall, I've been really enjoying this. And it's nice that it also has benefits of its own. Thanks to Stylevana for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to use my discount code, and if you're in the first 400 people, you'll get this as a gift with purchase. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these products if you tried them and what other products you think I should try. Like and subscribe, more skincare videos are popping up around me.